decided to pursue a career in law because it gives me an opportunity to help people. When the client chooses us to represent them, they're entrusting us with a huge responsibility. It's our goal to exceed their expectations with our personalized service and to help them to achieve the best possible recovery to compensate them for their injuries.
That's where we come in. We come in and we solve that problem for them and really set them on the right track in order to try and get back to what their life was like before the accident happened.
Hey, everybody. Hey, thank you very much for once again joining us here on the Big BoneYard. This is going to be interesting tonight because of geography and some other stuff. But you got myself, Big Bone 1%er. I got a proud member of Outcast MC. But on the line, not in the studio, but on the line, we got my man Tate, A-Bait Tate from A-Bait. That's Tate. Tate, what's up? Tate.
I mean, you know how it is. Sometimes we got to be on the opposite end of the state. We don't necessarily make it back in a timely fashion. Shit happens.
And look, I'll tell you, when the show first started, it was kind of interesting. And it still happens to this day. We used to, and I kid you not, anybody that goes back to the earlier shows can attest. There's some of those folks you remember, like you, Frost, Black Dragon. Used to always watch the show. We used to always do the show at 7 p.m. I mean, when it first came out at 7 p.m. And I mean, I was breaking my butt to get back to the studio. It was in a different city at the time. By 7 p.m. I would purposely arrange my schedule so that, you know, if I was 3 hours away, you know, the whole thing, right? It was a thing. And that was freaking exhausting and impossible because I learned that doing a biker show on a Sunday when we're doing actual real biker stuff, man, you might be anywhere. Sunday morning when you wake up, you might be anywhere and might have anything going on. And so that's why we started saying we pushed it back to 8, and then we say, so now we say about 8 o'clock, because sometimes it really is 8 o'clock and other times it's 9 or 10. But the cool thing is the information don't change, the vibe is the same. So, you know, it's what's up, you know, and folks understand. And for the boneheads out there, you know, the folks that love the show, I've learned they actually appreciate authenticity. The fact that, yeah, we're out there pounding the ground just like a lot of them are. So they get it. You know, they get it. So I love that. Our boy Rockstar is punching a clock somewhere tonight, but so he's watching and he's over there being the boss man at the place that he clocks in at, and I do believe he's going to give us a call in tonight. But in the meantime, over the course of the evening, y'all feel free to give us a call if you want to call in, which about this one you probably will. The phone number here is 310-870-8994. Hey, Tate, if you can, see if you can adjust that volume. We're getting a lot of feedback and background noise. Like maybe roll up your windows or something. So Tate's in a vehicle.
I got no windows.
You don't got no. Okay, he's in a vehicle driving. But all right, it just whatever it was, it just stopped. I don't hear it so much. Anyway,
this call will be recorded.
Oh, you hit that, but hey, you can hit that.
This call is no longer being recorded.
Technology, yo. So here's before we get started, let me get this out of the way because we're gonna jump in here with both feet. But needless to say, as we always do, we love our respective organizations. I love my club. Tate loves A-Bait and the different things that we're involved in. COC, Income, A-Bait, our clubs, and all that. We love all that. The proc, yeah, the proc. Love the proc. We wear a few different hats, but guess what? The words. What we're talking about, these are our opinions and our opinions only. They do not reflect the opinions or the positions of any of our respective organizations. So we always want to make that very clear that these are our opinions and our opinions only. So I don't want to hear no shit from y'all. All right. Anyway, so getting on with tonight, this is actually really interesting to me. Let me see if I can pull up what we wrote about. So the name of this particular episode is, oh, wait a minute. That ain't it. Where did it go? No, that ain't it. All right. I don't know where it is. Anyway, so the name of this particular show is, there it is right there in front of me. Out Bad. but are you really? You know, are you really? So that's the name of this show. And what we're talking about is the idea of, so once upon a time in biker land, we used to talk a lot about this kind of stuff that you would do to get you messed up in a club. And the punishment for messing up in a motorcycle club, there's a lot of different punishments. You could catch a fine, you could be suspended. There's a thing they have called center punching. Center punching is where they take your center patch and they remove it and treat you like you're like a probate or a probie for that time period while you got that center patch removed because you did something wrong, right? And any number of things that might get you in trouble. But there's really only a small number of things that get you what we call put out bad, right? And matter of fact, let me see if I can find the thing the way it was written. Okay, here you go. So here's what the description said. I knew it was somewhere. Anyway, the description goes like this. It says, out bad. I can still hear that background, Tate, if there's a way you hit your mute button for a second. Maybe you can hit the mute while we're doing it. Like on and off.
All right.
All right. All right, there it is. Perfect. So anyway, so out bad. But are you really? So there's excommunicate. That is a verb. It's a past participle. The past participle is excommunicated, which means to officially exclude someone from participation in the sacraments and services of the Christian Church. Right? Then it's a synonym, or some synonyms rather, would be to expel, 86, to kick out, blackball, eject, force out, discharge. And the one used most often by bikers is to be put out bad, to be put out bad. Right? And we've talked about this a few times before, but it keeps coming up. That's why we're doing the show, because it keeps coming up. I'm hearing like every week or two, I'm meeting somebody out in the world and the subject comes up, right? Like it's like all the time. But anyway, so we're going to really get into exactly what this means. So definitely, if you want to call in, definitely hit us up on the phone line. If you got some questions or if you got your own story about somebody you know or something that happened to you.
This call will be recorded.
Feel free, hit the recording button again, Tate. But anyway, if you know something
this call
like
is
that,
no longer being recorded.
and I'm getting nervous. It sounds like FBI. But anyway, but if you got any questions, comments, concerns, definitely call us in tonight because I think this is going to be a good one. But anyway, what last part was, how do you get put out bad? What are the consequences? What are the consequences supposed to be and all like that? So get on your iron, take a ride with us tonight. Ride on over to the Big BoneYard. This episode is going to be interesting, to say the least. And hopefully, more important than interesting, hopefully it's going to help a lot of folks on both sides of the subject. Anyway, like I said, the phone number is, while you're here, take 5 seconds and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and share this with every damn body, especially, and you know somebody that needs to hear this shit. So definitely make sure you go ahead and let them know about it too. You can share it to your Facebook page. I won't be mad. I won't be mad. But anyway, so Tate, you still there? Okay. Right on.
Yeah.
Right. So, and you and I have talked about this quite a bit.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, because there's different versions of this. I mean, and by the way, you don't have to be in an MC to get 86th or put out bad or any of that. There's different organizations that have different things. We started with some of the examples, Excommunicado or Excommunicated. That's where they.
I mean, hell, ABATE does it.
Yeah, ABATE does it. And we have a specific reason. As a matter of fact, I'll go ahead and put it out there because it's not secret information. I don't think it's it might not be written in the bylaws. I'm not sure. Or maybe it is.
It's not.
It's not.
It's not. It should be. But yeah.
Is it for legal reasons?
The whole motorcycle, probably. No, I'm pretty sure the whole motorcycle community agrees. Well, along with many other communities, agree on the only reason you can be excommunicated from ABATE.
Right. And what that is if it's proven, or not just somebody makes the accusation, But if there's proof that your ass is a pedophile, you're freaking out. You're out. And ABATE is strong about that. In fact, the only people that I've ever heard of getting kicked out of ABATE, and there's only been 2 in Florida that I've known of, and both of them in both circumstances were freaking pedophiles, and they were removed post haste, as they used to say. I mean, what a damn quickness.
I can speak for Florida alone. I can't speak for ABATE across the U.S.
Yeah.
But I know our SOP here in Florida is as soon as you are accused, you're suspended. You can't attend ABATE events. And then we wait out the trial. Once you're convicted, then we mail you a letter telling you, hey, you've been removed from ABATE. You're no longer allowed to be a member. I don't care if you're a life member. I'm not dealing with that. We do toy runs. We do way too much for the community to have somebody that wants to mess with little kids around us. Personally, I think they all need to be on an island somewhere and let them play with each other. But, yeah, I mean, we dig into it deep. We've had 2 that I know of.
Yeah. For
sure, since ABATE of Florida has existed. And they're the only 2 people that have been put out of ABATE. It was for being a pedophile. And I'm sure every other state's on board with that.
Yeah. I mean, in fact, most folks, hold on, answering that guy. But yeah, I think most folks, be they bikers or not, be they, it doesn't matter what type of organization it is. If you're the sort of organization that literally does things to change and improve people's lives, and especially as it relates to children, how in the whole wide world are you going to have a person like that around or associate with them? And I don't want to go down the rabbit hole, because that's something I feel like we can all agree on, so we don't have to, chop it up all over the place about that. But there's a lot of other stuff. But anyway. Oh, so what's up? Hey, Big Mike House, and Emmanuel. What's up, fellas? Emmanuel Briggs. But anyway, so let's get into some of that stuff. So here is the reason. And first of all, let me describe out bad for anybody who may not understand what we're talking about. I don't want to leave no.
Well, are you going to give the OG definition of out bad, or this new Dave Watertown bullshit?
No, hey, look. And look, that's what. Well, let me run with it. I'm going. It's me, so I'm going to give the real, right? I don't do the other. I don't subscribe or believe in it, but I don't want to get ahead of myself. So here's the situation. So any number of things you could be punished for, but there are a few things which we're going to discuss those in a minute. As the accusation or the charge is so egregious that not only are you suspended and they take your colors, and there's fines, but all kinds of stuff in regard to punishment. But the biggest one, by most people's opinion, is being put out bad. Out bad means that you are no longer allowed to associate with the club, any of its members. No member is allowed to discuss or to deal with you or discuss anything with you, especially club business. You're not to show up at a bike night. You're not to show up at nobody's house. You're not to show up nowhere. And if you do, there's consequences for that. But the other thing is this: it goes beyond your individual club. Now, traditionally, it goes a step further. If you're out bad from the Walmart riders, right? The Walmart riders, let's say they're just a low-level 99 mom and pop club, the Walmart riders. If they put you out bad, then the freaking the skull people MC are not gonna allow you to join their club or to hang around or to become a probate or a probie or anything else. As in, if you're put out bad, traditionally it was any other club, you are no longer eligible to be a member of a motorcycle club anywhere. Hey, can you hit that mute button again, Tate? Just so like take the mute, but like when you're going to say something, just take the mute button off. That way we don't have to hear all the background. But so what I'm saying is, out bad is a real serious thing. At least, historically, that's what it was. Because if my club and the club over there, we'll call them the ABC MC, and they're our worst enemies. We don't like them and they don't like us and we can't get along. And sometimes we even fight, right? If we put out a member out bad, the ABCMC riders or whoever they are, they're not going to take that guy. If that guy says, man, I got lots of information about them, just make me a member. They might want the information, but they ain't going to get him. Why? Because he's been put out bad. And the reason that that would happen is like this, is because the opinions of the set work like this, is that if somebody did something so bad that a club, any club, put them out bad, because remember, there's only a small number of things that you could do. If everybody respected that, though, if they was put out bad anywhere, they was done. That's why when you join a motorcycle club, one of the first things they ask you, Tate, what's one of the first things they ask you?
You ever been put out bad from another club? You ever been in another club?
Well, the first thing is, one of the first questions is, have you ever been in another club? Then it goes to, well, what club was it? And, well, how did you leave? Do you owe them any money? Do you have any of their stuff? And again, when you say, how did you leave? What we mean is what was the status? Like, as in, do you owe them any money?
This call
is there
will be
bad
recorded.
blood? Is there bad blood?
This
or something
call is
going
no
on?
longer being recorded.
And the biggest thing is, were you out good? Did you leave? Did you leave on good terms? Did you leave because you were sick? You were on medical and said, "Hey, fellas, it's been such a long time. I'm just going to go my own separate way right now." And no matter what the circumstance, anything other than out bad meant that later on you could possibly come back to that club, or you could go to another club. Now, you would have to wait. If you were going to a different club, you'd have to wait a year. That was always the rule. In some places, they watered it down and said 6 months, but traditionally, it's you wait 1 year before you consider joining another club. And now here's the thing, guys would get around that by saying, I got to wait a year. So I'm going to hang out with this other club that I'm interested in joining. I'm going to hang out with them for a year. And then once that year date comes, well, hey, now I can talk to them about joining officially. And of course, they've been talking to them about it officially, but they knew they had to wait a year. They had to wait a year. And that's always the way it's been. That's what it is. That's what the rules are. And you see people doing it. There's only a few differences, meaning if a guy's in a support club and he knows he wants to step up and go to his big brothers, right? In the case of that, he's still going to lay his rags down, make sure that he's leaving officially and properly. He's not talking to no other clubs or anything else during that time. Everybody's supposed to do that. But then, let's say it's been a month or 2 or 3. If he's coming from the support club and then stepping up, okay, that guy might not have to wait a year because he's coming from a support club. He's supposed to step up at some point. But other than that, your ass is waiting at least a year. Unless, of course, you were out bad. Now, if you're out bad, again, in real life, being out bad means you cannot join another club because, one, the club that put you out bad said so, but those other clubs don't care what his old club said. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. Who knows? But the new club is supposed to care and say, no, you were out bad, and that's it. Now, D said Tate might not be put out bad, but he might have a fine for hitting that damn record button instead of the mute so much. Okay, that's a fact. That's kind of a fact right there. But
fucking iPhone.
So let's get into this a little bit. So what are those things that you can be put out bad for? Tate, give me one thing that somebody can be put out bad for. We're gonna make sure everybody understands what that thing is.
I'm gonna go with probably one of the biggest ones, because every time you see some shit on one of these fucking biker documentaries or these stupid ass TV shows, now don't get me wrong, some anarchy minds are great, but they are fictional. Intravenous drug use, IV drug use, Everybody seems to think if we run drugs, we run guns, we're all a bunch of dope heads. But if you're using IV drugs, which means you're shooting up, you're out. They're done. Like, there is no, hey, let me go to rehab. No,
well, wait a minute.
Do that when he steps in.
So listen, I'm with you on that. However, I got to tell you, I know, and I saw it for a fact, there are some clean and sober clubs, and I don't know everybody's rules and everybody's bylaws, but I do know there's a certain clean and sober club, and they have this thing that says, now most clubs, you're right, IV drug use, they called it slamming, banging, or mainlining. And what slamming, banging, or mainlining is IV drug use, like shooting heroin or whatever it is that people shoot. But in most clubs, IV drug use, boom, you're out. However, and I guess this is just with people being more touchy-feely or whatever it is, or more progressive. But I've heard of these motorcycle ministries and clean and sober clubs that will say, hey, you relapsed. They expect you to relapse. I mean, they applaud you if you don't, but if you relapse, their answer is you need to go to rehab for 30 days, 60 days, whatever it is. You have to go to rehab. And if you successfully complete rehab, and we're going to watch you, talk to you, and everything else, and if you get back clean and you're not doing drugs for a certain period of time, you can get back in your club. In some cases, you don't lose any time or anything else. They'll let you back in the club. Some will say, if you go to rehab, you can still be a club member. But here's the reason as to why, as it relates to IV drug use, the opinion is, if you're using drugs of that magnitude, then you cannot be trusted, because a junkie will do fucking anything. A junkie will steal from you. He'll steal from his brother. He'll do all of the bad things that he's not supposed to do, especially the biggest one, snitch. Because don't think for a second that cops are not beyond offering drugs to a junkie to get information. And if the guy's a junkie, he'll sell out his own mother. So forget about his club. He'll sell them out twice a week and 4 times on Sunday, or whatever that expression goes. So big one. Tate knocked it out of the park. IV drug use. That is a big one. And a lot of folks don't talk about it because they don't even think about it, because it's not as prevalent in certain clubs. You know, like on the black side is virtually unheard of. And I'm sure it's happened, but that's not like really something that you hear a lot in black clubs. But historically, no, back in the 60s, that was a thing, you know, with the guys coming back from Vietnam. A lot of guys came back from Vietnam and brought a habit with them that they picked up in Southeast Asia. But so there's that IV drug use. That is a thing. So, and like I said, if anybody, like Douche was saying, needles, pedos, messing around with someone's old lady, yeah, those are all reasons as to why it is, which we're going to get into them. But yeah, so first thing, IV drug use. Give me another one, Tate.
Well, one thing we all don't cooperate with law enforcement. If you're found out to be an officer that has arresting power, I know some clubs you have to have had arresting power. Some clubs won't even let DOs in. But cooperating with law enforcement in any fashion. I mean, you didn't see nothing, you didn't hear nothing.
All right.
Point blank.
All right. So you're saying, so as it relates to the cop thing. So one, and this is let me be real clear. If you're a cop club, of course there's cops in that cop club. And I'm not saying that cops aren't members of clubs. They are, but because they have their own clubs. However, there's also a variety of 99 clubs that have law enforcement. I mean, I'm talking full, I started to say full patch, but I mean, I'm talking a fully badged officer of the GD law, right? And if he has, and some clubs get into it because, like, for example, some clubs will say, well, he was a corrections officer, so that's different. He's basically a jail guard. That's different than someone who has powers of arrest. Like on the set in the MC scene, you're going to hear that you would hear that expression, powers of arrest. That means if he's a guard at a deputy sheriff, he's not, you don't think of him as going out on the streets arresting folks unless he's a deputy sheriff who works out on the street. But the guy in the jail, maybe not. Some clubs say, well, that guy can go on the street whenever he wants because he is an officer and he does have powers of arrest, even if he's not using them in the jail. But guess what? They do use them in the jail because you can re-arrest a guy who's already locked up, and they do it all the time. So again, that goes to the club. They might think, oh, well, this guy is a park ranger. He's basically, Dudley Do-Right. He's out there making sure people put water on the campfire, right? Nope. He's an officer of the GD law. He has powers of arrest. So being a cop, having powers of arrest in a police sort of position, and along with that, so powers of arrest, being in law enforcement, any of that type of stuff. But we lump that together with also, there's another rule, snitching. So being a cop and being a snitch are almost synonymous, right? So all of that type of stuff is a big no-no in most clubs, because like I said, some clubs allow police officers, driving his cop car every day type of thing. Some clubs allow that. It's a lot less of that, but it does happen. So in some cases, that's not a reason to put you out bad. But in a lot of cases, it is. So over here, that's a thing. We don't do cops. Now,
and I'll put this out there without naming any specific club. Keep your eyes open, because a lot of these clubs, they'll move and act like 99% clubs until some shit goes down, and they'll throw bad news. There's also some of these law enforcement officers in clubs that have, for lack of a better term, in cold blood murdered members of other clubs. But in my opinion, they get away with it because they're law enforcement. They're doing their job. So,
that's interesting because, in some police agencies don't allow their officers to be in motorcycle clubs. Many, and usually, I won't say usually, but a lot of times, one of the things that the chief of police or whomever cites as the reason for that is because of what you just said. They want to be, it's like being a cop and a robber. I'm not saying that the bikers are robbers, but I'm saying the way that cops think about bikers is, I'm a cop, but now I'm going to go be a biker. And there's certain clubs out there, certain well-known cop clubs that are famous for doing more dirt than we ever thought of. And they do it more and get away with a lot more until they get finally caught because of the fact that at the end of the day, or somebody said, oh my gosh, you're robbing me. No, we're not. We're doing an investigation. They whip out the badge on you, So that's something. I want to get to Emmanuel Briggs had a great question. He said, what about domestic abuse? Guess what? You could beat the brakes off her ass and she could beat you up too. And that's not an official reason to have you put out bad. Now, you could, depending on the circumstances, a club could say, hey, we've told you 3-4 times not to do that, because every time you do that, the cops come to your house and you got your rags hanging up, or you was on your bike, you're just coming back from bike night, and you making the club look bad because you keep doing that. So guess what? We're going to suspend you. We're going to fine you. We're going to put you out of the club. But guess what? But you can't be put out bad for that. As bad as it might be, you could, God forbid, just an example, you could rob the bank at the corner of Kennedy and Del Mabry in Tampa, right? There's not a bank there, but I'm just saying. But you could rob a bank, get caught, and not be put out bad for it. You could be put out if you get caught, or you could be put out, but not necessarily put out bad because you didn't do something against the club in the process of doing that. and you didn't do something against nature by being a freaking pedophile. So yeah, you could be put out, but not necessarily out bad. Mike House says, what if a member has tattoos that represent the club they've been put out bad from? Will they have to get it covered up? Great question. And I've had to deal with this in my old club years ago. And the answer is, in most cases, depends on the club. But I'll tell you what the protocol is and the tradition and history is. It's like this. One, in most clubs, you're supposed to get permission to get that tattoo in the first place. And depending on what type of tattoo, you have to achieve a certain something in order to get a certain type of tattoo in the first place. Now, when you leave your club, if you leave your club on good standings, as long as you're not going to another club or something like that, hey, the tattoos, that's yours. You earned it. Everything is good with us, right? But if you put out bad, pretty much every club that I know of says you got 30 days or whatever it is. Sometimes it's less than that. You got 30 days to cover that up or have it removed. Because that patch, even though it's on your skin, that patch is club property. It's club property. So you got to cover it up or remove it. And of course, the next logical way of thinking is, what if they don't? Sons of Anarchy had an episode where they addressed that problem. And I've seen it addressed in that same exact fashion. I'll say it that way. So should you find yourself out bad, you might want to handle that. You know, you really might want to make sure that that's not an issue you ever have to answer for. Hey, Garth Banfield said, just popped in. Ice. That's Ice. What's up, man? That's Ice from Canada. And what's up? What you about to do tonight? I'm working on my Canadian. It ain't flying proper, but I'm gonna keep working on it. But Garth Banfield saying, great topic and points again. I appreciate it, brother. We definitely appreciate you. Tate, give us another one. Another thing that you're supposed to be that you could possibly get put out bad for, or that you should be put out bad for.
I want to add on to the tattoo statement real quick, just to clarify it.
Yeah.
A lot of people hear us talk about the patch.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, the patch is owned by the club. But what that patch consists of is a top rocker with the name of the club, a bottom rocker with a territory, depending on if it's a 99 or a dominant club, will depend on what their bottom rocker is going to say. Their centerpiece is an insignia. It's a patch because it's on a vest. It's an insignia if it's anywhere else. And that insignia, just like the Nike logo, is owned by that, let's use the term corporation. So I'll use, we'll use the Walmart rider. The Walmart insignia is owned by the Walmart rider. So anything that you own with that insignia on it, you don't really own it if you get put out bad. Well, because that's just getting repo.
That's true, but let me delve in there and be just a bit more accurate so nobody has any confusion about this. If you have the name of that club that you got put out bad and you have a tattoo of the name of that club, guess what? That's gone. That's not an insignia. That's not a patch. And by the way, when I say patch, I mean that setup: top rocker, bottom rocker, center patch, all that. But so that's got to go for sure. But if you have the name or the club's slogan or anything that could be construed or whatever that word is, as, hey, that's related to that club, that's got to go. And
anything owned by that club.
Yeah, and some guys try to be cute and say, "Oh, well, I don't have the patch. I just have, Willy Wonka, because Willy Wonka is something that's associated with that club. I just like that TV show." Nope, gotta go. And if it's after them 30 days, and let's say you covered up the one, but you kept the Willy Wonka, right? Guess what? Oh, now you fucking with them. So it's going to be worse. So, and everybody, they know what time it is. They know the stuff that they're supposed to lose and the stuff they're not supposed to lose. But that is, so that's another reason to be put out bad. I'll give you one. One that I hate when I hear about it, and I hate the fact that I hear too many guys getting away with it sometimes. But here's what it is, and that is messing with your brother's old lady. And when I say his old lady, I'm talking it could be his wife, or in some cases his girlfriend. I mean, like, they're not legally married, but they've been together for a long time. That's his old lady. Whether that's his girl for 20 minutes or 20 years, if he says that's my girl and she says that's my man, and you go behind and you, hey, hit the mute button, tape. If you go behind, you know, sneaking behind his back and you messing with his old lady, let's say that you try to talk her into the bedroom, you're gonna try to get some pussy, right? And she don't go for it. Same difference. You tried to do it. So whether you were successful or not, trying to go after your brother's old lady, you're out. Now, from the female clubs, I would love to hear from one of the ladies watching, but I would love to find out, do women have that same rule? Like if it's an all-female club, for example, and one of your sisters goes after your old man, does she get put out bad? I don't know what the rule is, but I would love to. I mean, I'd imagine that it would be the same, but I don't know. You know, is, you know, sisters share everything, so I don't know how that works. You know, but
well, and here's the way I look at it, and it's always been my rule. So, even when I was doing what I was doing back in the day, if we're cool, and even in high school, if we're cool. And you got some girl you hooked up with once, dude, I don't want nothing to do with that. Not because, oh, well, it's your sloppy seconds or all the stupid little shit kids say, but because all that's going to do is cause drama.
Right.
You know, if my homeboy's got a baby mama and she can want to be with me, she can be the best PO in the fucking world. But my homeboy is her baby daddy. It ain't gonna fucking happen. Right. And that is just to eliminate the ability for the drama.
Hey, what if? Wait a minute now. What if old girl was pushing up on you and was like, "Hey, I don't really like him like that. You know, we've been having problems. So basically, we're split up. So what's up? You know, we gonna hook up or what? What do you do?"
Nah.
Right. So yeah, the answer behind that one is like this. And like Kate said, nah, ain't gonna happen. Because guess what? No matter what, if that's his old lady, you know it, and you smash, you're done. You're freaking done. Because that can create the fastest way to create division and problems in a club is to do the most unbrotherly thing that there is, and that's to go after his old lady or any version of that. That equals out bad. If somebody legitimately did that, they ass is out. Now, if it's the ex, that's a little different. That's a little different, and that's up to individual clubs and between those brothers and all like that. With most things, if somebody does something against a brother, the first stop should be to talk to that brother. But all of this type of stuff, the club has all the stuff that we're talking about tonight. The club has ultimate say-so and all of that stuff. And if found guilty of that, your ass is out bad. Emmanuel Briggs says he had a friend that had a bad encounter with a three-piece patch law enforcement friendly club, which is crazy. He said that's very weird, and he is right. That is weird. But the surprising thing is a lot of these so-called law enforcement clubs, they don't move like law enforcement clubs. They try to act like clubs, but the thing that you'll notice the biggest difference is they only associate with themselves. When they come to a bike night, ain't nobody hanging out, talking. They're not interacting with different clubs or anything like that. The only place you see them at is like Harley, you know, or like if Harley's having a bike night or something like that, occasionally you'll see them like in Daytona, they'll come out because it's a million cops in Daytona. So they go places that it's safe for them to be, because cop club or not, anybody can get it. And them too. They just not when there's cameras around them, whatever like that, you know, because they're like permanent enemies to a great number of clubs. Somebody was telling me recently, they said, oh no, there's clubs on there's cops in the clubs on the black side. That's true of black, white, plaid, brown, whatever, but it's not a prevalent thing. It's not the predominant way of being on the set. But so listen, so we covered all those things. So I'll recap right quick. Look at my little note. So being a snitch, a cop, cop associated, you know, all of that kind of stuff, boom, out bad. Like I said, in most cases, you know, now being a cop in a club, if you snitch, guess what? You're still out. So, you know, that's out bad. The other thing, stealing from your club or from a brother in your club, your ass is out bad. Smashing your brother's wife, you're out bad. IV drug use, you're out bad. And the thing, no wiggle room at all whatsoever, cannot be misinterpreted, is being a fucking pedophile. Your ass is out bad.
Amen.
That's the way it's supposed to be. That's what their rules are, right? But here's the concern with that. Hold on. Emmanuel Briggs said, yeah, that kind of shit will cause problems everywhere. And Lord knows that ain't nothing but the gospel. But so what we just talked about, we spent the past few minutes talking about the things, the real reasons as to why, and the only reasons that somebody should be put out bad. Let me tell you what's happening nowadays. The exact opposite. In that, man, that guy's got a new bike, and I really like that new bike. I wish I had a bike like that. I never liked that dude. He thinks he's all that with that new bike.
Man,
let me hit him with let me hit him with some convoluted made up charge. Let's just say that he misappropriated personal funds. Now let's say he bought heat on the club because he's got that new bike. Yeah, let's put him out bad. Really? So that's how we doing it now. So hold on. I was looking for a button to push, but not for real. If someone says, man, this dude, he's shining too hard. All those other clubs in the city, they like him because he had a Thanksgiving party and gave everybody turkeys for the individual clubs to give out, making the clubs look good. They say good stuff about him, and man, he must be great. Out bad. We'll think of a reason later. And usually it's not a we, it's like a guy or two, right? And that guy gets somebody else to buy into his BS, and hey, he's out bad. Or what's the other one? Well, I mean, it's all kinds of silly, but here's the thing. 9 times out of 10, putting somebody out bad for something that isn't those 5 or 6 things that we were discussing is a bunch of BS, right? That's not, there's only this small group of things that you can be put out bad for. Here's another thing to look out for if you hear about it, and don't be a part of that stuff neither. Don't be a part of that. So like if a guy, for whatever reason, he is put out of the club, he leaves the club. Oh, that's a big one. The guy, for whatever reason, he says, hey, you know what? I'm not feeling this no more. Me and the sergeant at arms, we don't get along, and I don't want to be around that no more. So I'm going to lay my rags down and leave the club. If a guy says that and the club goes, yep, we accept these rags, you know, go with God, go do your thing. And he's out. He's just out. He left the club. He's out. A week later, somebody gets mad. Man, I don't know why he left this club. This is a great club. You know, we got brotherhood over here. Let's say he's out bad.
Yeah.
What the heck? Wait a minute. On the 1st of the month, he was just out of the club. But now on the 15th of the month, somebody had an idea and said, no, he's out bad. Let's change it. No, you can't do that. They do it, but you can't do it. That's not what's supposed to happen. So if you're out, you're out. That's it. If you're out bad, then you're out bad. But see, here's where the problem comes in. Nowadays, you hear about somebody. What's up, Chemo? What up, though? I'm going to keep working on it until I say that right. And Chemo up there in Detroit. Good to hear from you, brother. Thanks for checking in. Hit the like button while you're out there. If anybody didn't hit the like button right quick, right? But for real, though, this thing that they do that you hear about from time to time is going behind somebody who left the club, got put out of the club. However they're gone. And they were just out. Then 2 weeks later, a month later, I heard 3 months later, they decided to say the dude is out bad. That's a bunch of bullshit. That's not how it works. But here's the thing. What's supposed to happen is if somebody is legitimately put out bad, they can't go to another motorcycle club. One, because your club said he's out bad. That means we don't want him back. But the other clubs where he might go are supposed to say, hey, your ass is out bad. You can't come here. But folks aren't sticking to that. You got guys who are.
I got a question for you, Big Bone.
Okay.
Who can be put out bad?
Anybody can get it. Anybody can get it. Anybody.
So, like, hear me out.
Uh-huh.
Anybody that is a past member.
Yeah, facts. Yeah,
so
well, that's what we're talking about.
A friend of the club, could they be put out bad?
No, that's not a real thing. So here's the thing.
Could a hang around be put out bad?
No. Now let me tell you what can happen. A friend of the club, a hang around, or a probate. So if you're a probie or any of those things, the club can say, man, this dude did one of those things, did one of those 5 things, or anything. Say, hey, you're out. We don't ever want to mess with you again. But they can't say you're out bad because you never wore that patch. That's not a thing. And I've heard that before too. So if you're a probate or a hang around, they can for sure excommunicate, like they call it different stuff. You're excommunicated, you're 86th, you're gone from here, but they can't put you out bad because you were never in order to be put out bad in the first place. And by the way, if you are a hang around, friend of the club, probate, and they put you out, like, hey, you're out. You can't be a probate no more, or whatever it is, right? You're not our friend no more. That has nothing to do with other clubs. Other clubs can make their decision, which is why the other club is always supposed to say, hey, were you ever in another club? Now, if they do full disclosure, they're supposed to say, yeah, I was hanging out with, or I was a probate for such and such, and it didn't go right because of this reason. Now, at that point, that club has the opportunity, and I say the duty, to reach out to that club. They're supposed to do their due diligence and say, hey, what really happened? But you can't put somebody out bad that was never in the club. That's some new age, new style BS that somebody made up that's just not true. Or that somebody who just they're not educated well. And unfortunately, you got guys, there's presidents of whole chapters who got 2-3 years on the set and don't know dick. And yet they just out there making up rules and whatnot. And folks are following them because that's the president of the club. He's supposed to know some stuff. Or sometimes it's the VP, or sometimes it's the SA. You don't know. Hey, Deuce said, the thing I never hear talked about, is there such a thing as just being out? And yes, there is. We hear out good, like retired. Out bad is tonight's topic. What about just being out from a club, but not the scene? Absolutely. That's a normal thing to happen. There are guys that are out because they're retired, and those retired guys, they still come around. A lot of times a retired member, he still got his rags. He can still come around. He's not participating in church necessarily. Sometimes he can. He don't necessarily get a vote. Sometimes they do. That depends on what the club says about that. But there's plenty of guys who are out of the club, And let's say that the guy that didn't retire, he was a member for a long time or 20 minutes, whatever it is, he's out. Hey, ain't no bad blood, or maybe there is some bad blood, but just being out, yep, he's now a former member. He's a former member is kind of the way that you'll hear it most frequently. He won't say, oh, I'm out versus I'm out bad. He goes, hey, I'm a former member of that club. That's the language that you'll hear in regard to that. But yeah, that thing happens. But going back to the bull, it's like this. If somebody's out, you can't go behind them and then say later on, oh, by the way, no, we think we should have put him out bad, but he didn't do none of the out bad stuff, but nobody knows. So let's just say he's out bad. Because 9 times out of 10, someone hears that, they don't really go they should delve into, why do you say he's out bad? What did he do? Because the new club, now here's the funny thing, the new club, the club the guy's trying to go to, because they have learned that people are getting put out because, man, you ate a ham sandwich and my first cousin on my sister's side is a Muslim, but that sandwich was made out of ham, so you're out bad. Well, the new club don't give a damn about that because it's stupid. So they're not going to respect that. And the problem with that is it starts eroding the system, because what's supposed to happen is if you're out bad, nobody's supposed to touch you. But people started changing the rules as to what out bad meant. You can't change what that stuff means. There's only those 5 or 6 things that say what out bad is. And if folks don't start sticking to that and that only, it's going to fuck up the whole set, because the other clubs don't know whether your word is good or your word is garbage. And then when they find out that your word is garbage, it don't matter what you say after that, because your word is garbage. You put this guy out bad because he ate a ham sandwich. We ain't going to respect that. So we ain't respecting nothing you do. We're not even going to ask anymore. That's how it starts. It starts snowballing. Deuce said, I guess perfect timing for my question. And yes, it was. Emmanuel Briggs said, is there a judicious process that you can fight if you're wrongly out bad? And absolutely, yes. There's supposed to be, you're always supposed to have a hearing, or now in certain circumstances, like if you get caught in the act, there's still supposed, people are going to say, hey, right then that second, hey, let's get them rags. Nope, boom, you're out. And then, but you're 2 weeks away from church. So at church, you're supposed to be able to say, hey, I need to have my day in court. I need to be heard. So even in those circumstances, you have the right to say, hey, wait a minute. You're saying I stole from the club. Show me where I stole from the club. And if they can't, they just said the words, but have no proof of that. Guess what? You ain't supposed to go nowhere. So yes, there is absolutely procedures in place to make sure that those sort of things don't happen. The problem is that if you got brothers in a club that it's a popularity contest and they're not really voting the way that they're supposed to vote because they really like the guy that accused them of it, and they probably know it's bullshit, but they want to support their brother because they like him. It ain't about if you like him or not. You're supposed to tell the truth. That's what's supposed to happen. Steve 1%er, Steve 1%er biker, 1% biker, New York. Good evening, all. Man, Steve, thanks for joining us here at the Big BoneYard, brother. Keep coming back. We talking about some stuff. Steve, you're 1%er. This is stuff you heard. This is stuff you done heard before. And Emmanuel Briggs says, what happened if an out bad person tries to start their own club? Great question. And that is what we call geographical. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of what ifs. I hate saying this all the time, but it depends. I say that too much, but it depends on a few things. One, what state are you? What area of that state? Whose AO is it? Because are you trying to start a 1% club? Which, stop doing that, because that's 9 times out of 10, literally 9 out of 10 1%er clubs that somebody tries to start never gets off the ground because it's typically a bad idea. This is my opinion. There's enough 1%er clubs out there. Stop making new ones. California is the worst offender of this. Every 20 minutes, they're slapping a diamond on somebody. Y'all need to stop that. It's ridiculous.
Well, not only that, you got people that want to be in a 1% club and don't understand what a 1% lifestyle is. And, I mean, trying to start your own 1% club is smart, because if you're not about that life, somebody's gonna pull you wild card.
Yeah, but here's the other thing. Going back to this question, what if that person who's out bad tries to start their own club? Now, traditionally, if the guy is out bad and he starts his own club, he better be able to stand on his own, or they need to stand on their own and understand you're going against the entire system. Here's the funny thing. That's happened before. Guys who were put out, not necessarily out bad, but guys that were put out of a club or that chose to leave a club said, hey, we don't like that style of the way they're doing it. We should do it. We could do it better. We'll have good brotherhood over here. Let's do our own club. So that's not, in the case of like a 1%er situation, they might say, hey, we don't like this club. Let's join that 1%er club over there. And that 1%er club says, yeah, you guys start your own chapter. You guys are okay to do it. So technically, somebody told them it was okay. But if they're telling them to do it in somebody else's backyard, they got to deal with the consequences. So can it happen? Yes. Has it happened? Yes. The out bad part is where it's questionable, because traditionally, out bad, you ain't supposed to be on the set. You're not supposed to be showing up at no bike nights. You ain't supposed to be doing a whole lot of stuff. That's why you out bad. But the way out bad is interpreted now depends on whether clubs are out there on the bullshit or whether they're sticking to the tradition, which is why this show actually exists. Tradition, history, protocol. So if somebody's doing it different, somebody hears about somebody's doing it different, call them out on it. That's the bullshit. The set is only going to continue to thrive and survive if those of us who know better do better and require the set to do like it's supposed to do. So the dominants in the area have got to be, one, they got to be straight themselves, and two, they got to make sure everybody else does too. Just to the degree that it's appropriate. I'll say it like that, because you ain't all up in everybody's business all the damn time. And, something like that, like if that happened, if a club in my area put a guy out bad on some bullshit, I'm going to advise them, hey, and I know about it. I'm going to share with someone that, hey, y'all know that was bullshit, right? I'll suggest that they correct it. I'm not saying I'm necessarily going to force somebody to do whichever, but so that's another one of those it depends type of situation. Now, if it's a club that is directly in my purview that I have direct influence over, that's a different subject. I might deal with a little bit different. But if it's just some club out there somewhere, at the end of the day, what the fuck do they care what I say? As long as they thing ain't gonna mess up my thing, we ain't gonna have a thing. But I'm about the tradition, the protocol, the history, the honor, the respect, and the brotherhood. That's all the things that this MC thing that we do is supposed to be about. People forget that. Because a lot of times, like even me, like I get on here and we chit chat and we ha 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 and key. But when I turn off this, I leave the studio and I put on my rags and I'm on my bike. Believe me, I'm shine up my diamond and I'm doing biker shit on the regular. By the way, shout out to all my brothers out there. Yo, I had a blast with Outcast. I love my Outcast brothers. I love y'all. And I had a good time just being an Outcast this weekend, which I don't get as many opportunities all the time because I'm so busy doing all this stuff. But so I'm blessed in the sense that me and mine, we toe the line. We do this shit for real. And but it's others out there that are on that bullshit. If you see it, see something, say something. Isn't that what the cops say? If you see something, say something. But yeah, don't let people come out with all that old bullshit all the time. So Steve was saying, out bad nowadays don't mean the same as 20 years ago, but it all depends on where you're out, on the way you're out bad. Okay, yeah. And see, that's what we've been talking about, Steve, the whole time. That's he said doesn't. Sorry, no, I'm with you. But that's exactly what we're saying, Steve, is that what's most important is doing it the right way. And it's a lot of dudes who are off of the set, out of the club, off of the scene and everything else because they was done so bad. And they, might have done nothing or might have done a little something, but yet they get hit with the out bad. It's crazy. It's crazy. But I tell you what, we've been at this for about an hour, and I appreciate y'all rolling through. We're gonna do this again in a week. And if there's a certain thing y'all want to hear about that we haven't addressed, let us know about it, and hopefully we can take a few minutes and chop it up. This subject tonight was something that just kept coming up. So we're like, hey, we got to talk about it. We got to talk about this a little bit. So hopefully somebody got something out of this. Hopefully somebody's listening to this and making sure that they're not going to be a part of the bullshit. If somebody legit did one of those 5 or 6 things, bounce their ass. If they didn't, then if they did something that's punishable and they need to be put out, put them out. But don't hit them with the out bad label unless they legit earned it. That's like anything else. If they earned it, give it to them. If they didn't, ain't no free rides. Don't give it to them if they didn't earn it. Hey, and Steve was saying he was late, but it was a good chat. Steve, if you get a minute, you can shoot back and you can go right to the, you can rewind it, because this is on YouTube. So y'all check it out on YouTube. You can go back and check it out from the beginning. And Big Mike said, great show as always, brother. Thank you for watching. But Tate, you still with us? Tate, all right. We might have lost Tate because I know we were having some technical difficulties because he's on the road and all like that. But I'll tell y'all what, we're going to do this again in about 7 days. But in the meantime, y'all, hey, hit me up with questions, comments, concerns. By the way, the bike night that we had last week was off the fucking hook. Both of them, the COC and the A-Bait bike nights were fantastic. And Fran Hash, she had her folks out there and everything. That was mad cool. If you need a good attorney, Fran Hash, she's a friend to the show. She's a sponsor of the show. But the Fran Hash Law Firm, they do their damn thing. Big love for them always, because they really watch out for the entire biker community in Florida and a couple other places as well. Also, A-Bait. If you have not joined A-Bait, and I don't care what state you're in, if you're not a member of A-Bait, but you like this biker thing that we do, and you actually give a damn about bikers being safe and educated and knowing that somebody's going to watch out for you, join A-Bait. If you don't know anything about A-Bait, let me know. Shoot me your email. All my contact info is up here somewhere, but shoot me an email or send a text to the show or any of that kind of stuff. I'll send you information. It's real easy to join. A-Bait's only $20 a year, and you get $4,000 AD&D insurance. So if you're out here riding on a motorcycle, even if you got your regular health insurance, $4,000 helps out, right? So it's $4,000 AD&D insurance if you join A-Bait. Let me know. Matter of fact, I bet you I could put it up here. It's up here somewhere. And there's my contact info right there. So y'all get at me about that. And that's Kickstand. Dennis Kalkbrenner, that's Kickstand. He said, great show. Thank you. And Steve 1% said, definitely join. So yes, definitely join A-Bait if you can. But what do you mean if you can? Yeah, of course you can. It's $20. Y'all spend more than that in the first 2 minutes of being at bike night. Anyway, I'm going to shut the hell up, man. Y'all, thank you so much for joining us here on the Big BoneYard. We're going to take this ride again in another 7 days. In the meantime, peace, love, and respect to all of y'all folks. And I think we're going to be out.
Welcome to the Big BoneYard. Enter at your own risk.
decided to pursue a career in law because it gives me an opportunity to help people. When a client chooses us to represent them, they're entrusting us with a huge responsibility. It's our goal to exceed their expectations with our personalized service and to help them to achieve the best possible recovery to compensate them for their injuries.
That's where we come in. We come in and we solve that problem for them and really set them on the right track in order to try and get back to what their life was like before the accident happened.